And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Anthony Buchanan, who writes, so, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the Scarlett Johansson Disney lawsuit has ended. As both sides have worked out a deal, while no details are announced, it was interesting to hear that ScarJo and Disney, after dragging ScarJo through the mud, are willing to work together still on future projects. Disney notably mentioning the Tower of Terror project. Are you surprised both sides are working together still? Do you think Disney and ScarJo would be willing to do a Black Widow 2 in the future? Well, the real question is Kevin Feige have any plans of doing a Black Widow 2? That's the question anyway. Along with any future MCU projects that may come down the pipeline for her. Thanks for taking my question. Stay filthy. All right, thanks a lot for saying this in, man. And oh my goodness, look what happened. I have said from day one, as many others did, it's not like I'm Nostradamus here. Other people said this too. I said there is one way that this Disney Scarlett Johansson thing ends, and there's only one way it ends. And it's not even going to go to trial. This is going to end with Disney, hat in hand, tail tucked between their legs, having to go to Scarlett Johansson and write her a big, fat, mouse-eared shaped check and settle this thing out of court. I said from day one, that's the only way this is going to end. Disney clearly violated the contract. They have no win here. This is going to end with them signing a big, fat check. And that is apparently exactly what happened. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline who write, just days after the first court hearing in Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow profit megabyte lawsuit on Disney was pushed back to March of 2022, the Oscar nominee and the House of Mouse have made peace. And it was very pricey for the Disney camp, for the latter. As it is almost always the case in cases like this, neither side gave any indication of how much money was involved in the settlement. However, when all is said and done, the deal will run to more than $40 million. Sources tell me. This is, of course, coming us from Deadline. This is coming out to $40 million. And Rob, I'm going to tell you what else. I was told last week that the initial number, and I think you're going to see this coming out in reports here soon, the initial number before a lawsuit ever got filed that Scarlett Johansson's representation wanted to get from Disney was around the $20 million mark. They wanted really around $20 million. They started off talking to the Disney people, throwing out like a number like $100 million, but what they said, the reports coming out now is that what they were really looking for was $20 million. But instead of talking to her representation, instead of talking to her, they decided to publicly try to shame her. They try to publicly throw her under the bus. And that little strategy has backfired spectacularly, and it has cost them more than $20 million more than it would have cost them if they just played ball with her in the first place. Which means, Rob, they totally believe if this had gone to trial, it would have cost them even more. It would have cost them even more. Now, just to remind everybody about a fallout, like the procession of events here, let's jump over to the Campea classroom for a second, okay? So, starting off with this, for those you forget, Disney assured Scarlett Johansson that Black Widow would absolutely get a theatrical exclusive release. This, of course, was made public when the Disney lead attorney wrote an email to Scarlett Johansson. This has been made public, where prior to the decision to put this thing out on Disney Plus, they assured her, whatever, this is going to be a full theatrical release. That leads us into issue number 2. Disney broke, if I can spell today, broke that agreement. So Disney broke it. And they decided, you know what? No, we're just going to put this thing out on Disney Plus. All right. That led to part number 3. ScarJo's lawyers reached out to Disney to try to reach a settlement for figuring out, okay, well, if you are going to pull it out of theaters, you're going to need to give ScarJo some extra money because her salary in the agreement was based on how much box office this makes. You promised it was going to be theatrical only. You're putting it on Disney Plus, so you got to talk to us and let's negotiate and come up with a new number. But Disney ignored them. Disney said, nah, we don't need to talk to you. Mwah, go fuck yourself, Scarlett. Go fuck yourself in that little contract we signed. We're Disney. Bob Chapek comes in. I'm Bob Chapek. I'm the heir to Bob Iger. I don't need to honor contracts. What are you talking about? Take that. Contracts are for the peasants. Contracts are for peasants. They're not for people like me. And they ignored them. They ignored them. This is all public, guys. This is all public information. Disney ignored them and sent them away. So ScarJo files lawsuit, saying, hey, look, you've left me no choice. I got to take you to court now. Now I got to take you to court. I remember from what we're hearing, and this is coming out in reports now, they were really just trying to get an additional $20 million to compensate for what she was going to lose in the box office. Files a lawsuit. Instead of being classy about it, Disney tries to publicly shame Scarlett Johansson by revealing her salary on the film, by saying, by like basically blaming the pandemic on her, like this is all her fault and blah, blah, blah. And they started publicly shaming her and all that kind of stuff. Then basically, Bob Chapek admitted, remember we talked about this the other day, Rob?
Yep.
Bob Chapek at a conference basically admitted they screwed Scarlett Johansson. He basically said, oh yeah, we're going to have to change the way we do contracts from now on. Basically acknowledging, because the way we did our contract with Scarlett Johansson means she's got us screwed. That means she's got us screwed. But Rob, there's something other very, very important here. Disney, and I think this is why this got settled now instead of later. Disney filed to have the case brought to private arbitration. So if you guys remember, Disney made a filing saying, hey, we don't want this tried in court, because if it's tried in court, all the information is public record. They wanted this thing done in private arbitration, so none of it would be public record. Rob, this has not been reported. I am simply speculating here, okay? I'm just speculating. Let's be clear about that. I think the reason this all of a sudden got settled so fast, I think Disney found out they weren't going to be granted private arbitration. Now again, I'm just speculating. I'm just putting pieces of the puzzle. I could be off on this. I could be way off on this. But I think the reason they didn't even wait to get even close to when the trial date was going to start, I think they found out that their motion to have this move to private arbitration was declined. And they were like, well, fuck, we can't have all this made public because we're going to look stupid as hell. Settle with her. And you know what? Not only, Rob, did this thing cost them more than $20 million than it would have if they just honored their contract in the first place and dealt with Scarlett Johansson when she approached them before the lawsuit got filed? Rob, I think she got more than that. Because as we go down now, if we look at the article, listen to this. This is Scarlett Johansson's comment saying, I am happy to have resolved our differences with Disney, said Johansson in a statement released Thursday. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we've done together over the years and have greatly enjoyed my creative relationship with them. I look forward to continuing our collaboration for years to come. Disney's representative put out this statement. I'm very pleased that we've been able to come to a mutual agreement with Scarlett Johansson regarding Black Widow, said Alan Bergman, chairman of Disney Studios Content. We appreciate her contributions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Man, this is a totally different tune than they were singing a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate her contributions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and look forward to working together on a number of upcoming projects, including Disney's Tower of Terror. She says, for more projects in years to come, he says, on a number of upcoming projects. Rob, again, this is not in the official reports. I'm just speculating here. Scarlett Johansson didn't just get $40 million from them, 40 million plus. She also got more projects handed to her. She also got, not only are you going to be signing me a big fat mouse-eared shaped check, you're also going to give me more projects. You're going to green light more projects for me.
And good on her, man. I mean, they publicly shamed a talent that has worked with them on 9 projects, including Jungle Book. Yeah. I mean, they shamed her. By the way, John, I would be remiss. There's something that just came over the transom. I have to read something to you. It says, congratulations to the hardest working man I know, John Campea. At least there are 250,000 people that tolerate you. This was on Twitter, and it comes from someone named Anne Campea.
Yeah.
A minute ago, Anne Campea.
She doesn't tolerate me.
But I have to say, you know what? To have a wife that celebrates you in this manner, God bless her.
I'm a lucky man, dude. I really am.
You are a lucky man.
You know else is lucky? Scarlett Johansson. Rob, what do you think about what ScarJo just landed
first of all, look, here's the thing. In our Me Too, she was humiliated and dragged through the mud by a company that she collectively worked on projects that made billions of dollars for. It was disgusting. I mean, to be honest, everyone's like, well, you know, I don't care how much money she made. The fact is, if you're a business collaborator with someone, and everyone, I understand there's so much money involved. She's one of the Hollywood elites. I don't care. She signed a contract, whether it was a contract for $1, $10, $100, or millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. If you're doing good business with a company, if a company turns around and you have a dispute and drags your name through the mud, F them. That is not what we're supposed to do. And in this day and age where women are finally having the voice they've deserved for a millennia or more, and you have powerful women in Hollywood doing great work for you and making you billions of dollars, to turn around and do what Disney did, it is unconscionable. The statement that was made about her is beyond the pale. I mean, it should never have happened. And no amount of money, Disney should have given her $100 million, and it wouldn't have been enough. So good on her.
I agree. Listen, I see somebody writing in the live chat, and I won't name them, saying, why are we defending an actress getting $40 million? It's irrelevant. What the principle here is that a big, massive company like Disney signed a contract, and then not only said, we're big enough that we can ignore this contract, you go screw off, to the person that they had the contract with. But then when she tried to stand up for herself to get what she was owed from her contract, they publicly tried to shame her. Yep. Something that never would have happened if Bob Iger was still the CEO of Disney. Papa Iger never would have allowed that to happen. But under Chapek, it did. And so that's the thing. It's not like, oh, good, the rich get richer. It's, hey, listen, somebody who had a contract got wronged and they got shamed when they were trying to stand up for their rights. And now Disney's got to bend over, take it up the keister and smile and say, thank you, sir. May I have another? Because they didn't handle this right from the first place.
That's right.
Rob, you and I were talking before the show started. Because honestly, what I want to believe here, I want to believe that what we have here is a situation of Bob Chapek realizing, you know what, we handled this wrong. And look what a mess it's become. Let's reevaluate our approach. You know what? Get me ScarJo's representation on the phone. We're going to settle this. We're going to do right by her. We're going to settle this, and we're going to move forward. That's what I hope happened. Because you guys know, I don't have a lot of faith in Bob Chapek as the CEO of Disney. I want to. I'm looking for a silver lining here. And obviously, I'm really disgusted by the way he's handled this job so far. But I want to believe this is Bob Chapek going, you know what? Yeah, I made some mistakes starting off this job. This was one of those mistakes, and I'm learning a lesson from it. and let's get this thing fixed. Rob, that's what I want to believe. The pessimistic, jaded side of me, though, is wondering if this just wasn't just Big Papa Iger, who is still the chairman of Disney, who has been trying to let Bob Chapek find his own way. A part of me has to wonder if this was it Bob Chapek learning from his mistakes and correcting it? Or was this Iger getting on the phone and saying, I've had enough of this shit. Stop this now. Get her on the phone and settle and give her anything she wants because we're the ones who screwed this up. So I like to believe it was Chapek fixing it. Maybe it was. Fingers crossed it was. But this might have been Iger just saying enough. Fix it. I don't know, Rob. What do you think brought about this thing getting resolved now?
What you just suggested, that seems plausible to me. I mean, this was a horrible embarrassment. It was handled terribly by Disney all the way around. And you know what's interesting? Doesn't matter anymore. They settled. The news story came out. It was in deadline. We're done. And if anyone says, if Disney's like, if people want to criticize Disney, they're like, nope, taken care of. There's nothing more. There's nowhere to go. And that was what should have happened from the beginning. No one should have known about this. It should have happened behind closed doors. But because, look, I'm sure Bob Chapek in his entire career never had to deal with a situation where, how are we going to define to shareholders the tens of millions of dollars we're going to have to pay out? Like, I don't know what to do. Well, buddy, that's when you need to come in and be like Uncle or Papa
Big
Bob
Papa Iger.
and Papa Iger, and just handle it. Put on your big boy pants, write the check. People will get it. Done. But no. And the thing is, they insulted her publicly. They tried to shame her. That's what's the worst part of it all.
Yeah.
And they tried to shame her for getting something she was asking that was part of her own contract that they signed in 2017. And that's, if I was ScarJo, I'd be like, you know what? I might have settled with you, but no. You shamed me publicly. You dissed me. I worked on 9 movies for you, and you dissed me. Pay up, buddy.
Somebody
Pay up.
Some of the live chat is asking, is ScarJo going to get a public apology? Dude, she just got 40 million of them. She just got 40 million of them.
The Weekend Update host, Colin's like, yeah, I married well.
That's right.
Yeah, you did, buddy.
Right,
yes, you did.
Well, listen, I think we can all acknowledge he married well prior to this lawsuit.
I mean, his wife's no Ann Campea.
I mean, yeah, well, nobody is.
He married well.
Nobody is. By the way, this could pave the way because, Rob, remember, this thing escalated when we found out that the Russo brothers had been in contact and had been in negotiations with Marvel to come back to direct another 1 or 2 movies. And the Russo brothers were saying, now we don't know if we want to come back because we're seeing how they're treating Scarlett Johansson. Like, this was escalating. I wonder now that this has been settled, that Disney and ScarJo are coming out and holding hands and singing Kumbaya together, saying all is good, all is good. I wonder if this now fixes those potential problems with other talent like the Russo brothers. Rob, do you expect we're going to see the Russo brothers back in the MCU now?
You know what? If I were them, and after seeing the response Cherry got or whatever, I'd go back. Hey, hello, Avengers 5. We're here.
Yeah, it's there.
Why not?
So, guys, it looks like the long national nightmare is over. The lawsuit that never should have happened in the first place. The lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and Disney, it's now done. It's done. It's been resolved the way we said from day one it was going to be resolved, with Disney signing a big, fat, mouse-eared shaped check, more than they needed to. They could have saved a lot of money. They could have saved a lot of face if they had just honored their agreement. And here we are. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the outcome of this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.